If you are feeling stuck in a small space, well, think again because today I am bringing the best designer tricks to make your small space feel bigger, brighter, and more open. And by the end of this video, you will have all the hacks from choosing furniture to optical illusions that will make your space grow. Hi guys, I'm Louie. I'm an architect and interior designer, and I have worked in design for 20 years, spanning industries like fashion design and product design. And on this channel, we try to make things easy and approachable because design shouldn't feel intimidating. It should feel like a tool you can use every day to make your life better. So because I have a lot of tips in this video, let's just get started. So we are starting with tip number 1, and that is to declutter. And I know it sounds obvious. We'll get into the juicier stuff later on in the video, but this step is so important, it cannot be ignored. Nothing cramps a room or makes you just feel claustrophobic like just tons of little things everywhere. If you just look, for example, if you have a desk and you're working on it and you've got no place to put a mug or something, that is too much clutter. You need more space, so let's get to it. So here's what you can do today to start decluttering. You're going to clear off your surfaces. That means nightstands, coffee tables, counters. Leave only what you really love or what you really need to use on a daily. And here's a quick tip. Grab remotes, chargers, and anything else that lives on your coffee table but doesn't really add to the overall design and put it in a small box. That helps keep things clean, organized, and handy when you need it. Also, instead of scattering little decor pieces all over, you're going to group them. So put a few candles on a vase together on a tray, or cluster your favorite collectibles on a shelf, and suddenly everything starts to feel organized and considered. And finally, think of it like curating small moments instead of spreading clutter. One powerful vignette is so much better than lots of little pieces spread across the place. Now, a lot of you have mentioned to me that you have collections and collectibles, and I know that it can be a little tricky to incorporate them into your decor, but I don't think that you should feel pressure to give them up or to put them away. I mean, remember, guys, I'm a very big advocate for this. Your space should reflect you, so if you're crazy about toy art, then put it all over the place. But here's the thing. There are ways that you can put it up that will not only display them in a better way, but also make your space feel considered, and it'll make your collections part of the decor in a more harmonious way. So think about it like this. If you have a lot of figurines, you can create acrylic boxes. Now you can get these done at framers or you can buy them ready online, but a little acrylic box so that you can cover your figurines and all of a sudden they become like a museum piece. They get so much more interest from being separate in a little box. Now you can have many of these. You can have your little boxes spread out throughout shelves, a countertop, not a countertop, a credenza. But the idea is that you can kind of put it around your house in a way that your pieces are displayed proudly and beautifully. And for example, if you have a lot of books, then think of creative placements outside your shelves where you can place them. The idea is, and maybe, I don't know, if you guys want a whole video on what to do with your collections, let me know below and I will make it. But the idea is that you want to display them in a way that feels considered. So instead of just popping them up, really give it a little bit of thought. I'm going to put my figurines here. I'm going to put my camera collection on this shelf. And that way you start to see the room take shape. Here are some quick do's and don'ts. Clear surfaces and group items in trays or boxes to create breathing room. Curate collections with boundaries. Use shelves or acrylic boxes to display without clutter. Don't scatter small decor pieces everywhere. They make the room feel chaotic. And don't keep items you don't use or love out in the open. My second tip is to create physical and visual exits. So that means that your space should feel like it expands beyond the walls and both your eyes and your body have a way out. Now, when I say it should expand beyond the walls, that does not literally mean putting in a window or a door. It just means giving the feeling that it is larger than it actually is. So one thing you can do, for example, is use artwork, like large artwork that feels expansive, that has a horizon line or depth or perspective. That already starts to trick your eye and your brain so that it feels like the actual space keeps going, even though it's just in a piece of artwork. And another way you can do that is through mirrors. So if you just place a large mirror on a wall against some light coming in from a window, you're going to bounce that light around and natural light will immediately make your space feel larger. Now let's talk about the physical exits and how you can actually move through the space. Here's the rule of thumb: leave at least 30 to 36 inches, about 75 to 90 centimeters for clear pathways. That's enough for most people to walk comfortably, without bumping into things. And if you can, float your furniture slightly off the walls instead of pushing everything flat against them. It creates breathing space around each piece. And here's a bed placement hack. If it's a bedroom you're designing, push your bed so that when you open the door, you see the full length of the room. Placing the bed on the farthest wall you can from the door will immediately maximize and create more sense of depth. Now, I love to tell you guys a little story every now and then because I want you to feel the reality of what it means to design a space. And on my wall art video, I told you guys a story about the wall art that fell over a friend's head and it just broke and it shattered and it was really dangerous. And today I'm going to tell you a little story about a friend who lived in a teeny tiny studio apartment. So she was really clever about the way she used her space. Her bed at the time was a queen bed and she had elevated it so that she could put her closet under the bed. And now that is a really great tip for small spaces, but I'll get into how to use your vertical space a little further down in the video. But basically what happened is she left her little studio apartment and she was going to a 2-bedroom apartment, which was super exciting. And of course she was ecstatic. And she's that kind of person who likes to chill in bed. She likes a big, long bed, very expansive for relaxing. I mean, who can blame her? And then when she moved out and moved into her 2-bedroom apartment, what happened was she immediately ordered a king-size bed. Now I told her, other people told her, listen, we know you're excited about this space, but if you buy a bed that's much too big, it won't feel bigger, it'll just feel tight. And she said, no, I'm gonna have my king size bed. It is my dream come true. And that is exactly what she did. And what happened was she lived with that bed in her room for exactly 1 day before she returned it and got a smaller bed. And that is because on the sides of her bed, there was no space for pathways. So she would have to pop out of bed and just kind of squish on through till the end of the room so that she could make her way out into the bathroom or whatever. So think about the size of your furniture. Think about your walkways because nothing will make you feel so tight and cramped and uncomfortable as not being able to move through a room properly. And now some quick do's and don'ts. You do want to leave clear pathways and float furniture slightly off the walls for flow. You also want to use mirrors or wide artwork to create visual exits and a sense of depth, but you do not want to block natural light with bulky furniture, and you do not choose oversized pieces that overwhelm the room. Now we're moving on to tip number 3, and that is mind your materials. And the reason I say this with emphasis is because it is important, and I say that a lot about all the tips, but it's true. It is important. And this is why. If you put dark, bulky furniture in your space, what's going to happen? It will suck up all that light. It's just going to absorb everything. It will make your space feel cluttered, dark, and just unpleasant to be in. But if you choose materials that will bounce back light, that are transparent so light can get through it and your eye can see through it, what you're going to do then is you're going to make it lighter, breezier, bigger, and it'll just feel better to be in. So here's what I mean. Consider glass coffee tables, acrylic chairs, even a lucite console, because they will kind of disappear into the room so your eye keeps moving instead of halting at a big bulky piece. Now, let's talk shine. Mirrors are the protagonists here. One oversized mirror leaning casually against a wall or hung in front of a window, it will double the depth of your room and you will not regret it. And for the same thing goes for glossy finishes or metallic accents. They can catch the light and spread it around like magic. But I don't want you to live in a cold, clinical space. So to sum it up, you want a mix of disappearing materials, but also cozy, tactile materials that make your space feel good to be in. Here are the quick do's and don'ts for this tip. Use glass, acrylic, or lucite furniture to let your eye flow through the room, and also use oversized mirrors or place one across from a window to reflect light and create depth. You do not want to overcrowd the room with bulky dark furniture that stops the eye, and you don't want to go overboard with glossy or metallic finishes because they could feel cold or sterile. For tip number 4, I am going with when small, go big. And I know this feels counterintuitive, but stick with me. Here's how it works. Sometimes larger pieces make the room feel calmer, less cluttered, and more considered. So for example, maybe one sofa will work better for a small space than 3 small chairs, or 2 large frames or 1 large frame is better than 5 or 6 little pieces on a wall, creating a gallery wall. The idea here is to edit and clean it up so that you have large pieces that are statement pieces and you just complement them with other things. I know this one can get a little tricky because you want big furniture in a small space, but you want it to complement and not overwhelm. So how do you find that balance? When am I overwhelming and not complementing? Well, I think for complementary furniture in a small space, what you want to do is, for example, choose a large sofa or a sectional if you can, and prioritize the ones that have legs. So that way it has a shallow footprint, it doesn't eat up all your floor space. And by having the legs, just by lifting it a bit, you will let your eye go through it from below, from above, and that way it won't feel like a bulky piece of furniture, even though it is more oversized and probably one of the larger pieces of furniture that you'll have in your living room, for example. So this is why big furniture makes perfect sense for your small room. It will reduce visual clutter. That means fewer pieces will equal less chaos. It will also create color blocks. So a single large sofa or rug gives the eye a resting place and makes the room feel more expansive. And finally, it will enhance flow. So legs that lift furniture off the floor let the eye travel around the room so that your space feels airy and open, and also they will be easier to clean. Here are a few swaps that will instantly give you more space and that are pretty simple to do. First, you're going to take those 2 armchairs or 2 small chairs and you're going to swap them in for a sofa. That will make it a lot more spacious. Next, you're going to clear up your gallery wall because small spaces can have gallery walls, but sometimes it gets a little crowded. So clear that up and put in 1 or 2 large pieces of artwork. Use a rug to anchor your spaces as well and to pull all your pieces together and maybe even float them a bit off the wall. And finally, incorporate glass dining tables or coffee tables, acrylic chairs or side tables, anything that will let light just go through it and let your eye look past it. And now the quick do's and don'ts. So you do want to choose light-toned or thin-framed large furniture to reflect that light and let your eye travel. You also want to keep at least some open floor space so that the room breathes. You do not want to pile small competing pieces in every corner and clutter it up. And you don't want to pick a giant bulky sofa that blocks pathways or visual flow or absorbs all of your natural light. For tip number 5, we are going to consider smart color choices. And the reason I say smart is because you actually have to be strategic about this choice. It can't just be something you like I like blue, so I'm going to go with blue. I mean, that's lovely, but you have to think about what's going to make your small space feel bigger. And most designers will tell you light colors will do that for you. It will bounce back the light. It will make the space feel larger. However, that doesn't mean the opposite can't also be true because dark colors can also make your space feel larger in a cozy, intimate way. So for small rooms, you want to go light, airy colors like off-white, pale blue, soft greens, or gentle neutrals. These shades reflect the natural light and make your space feel open and bright. So stick with soft, muted tones rather than anything too bold that might overwhelm your eyes. But here's the twist. If you want to go dark, you can also paint everything, walls, trim, even the ceiling in one rich, deep color like charcoal, navy, or warm brown, because this will blur the edges of the room and it'll create a cozy, enveloping effect, which can actually make the space feel larger in a very different, intimate way. To sum it all up, if you decide to go light, you will bounce back that light and you will make it breezy and airy and bigger in that sense. Now, if you go dark, what you're going to do is smudge out all the edges of your room and turn it into a cocoon, and that will also make it bigger. So 2 different tactics, same result. Now, because I want to make this extra easy for you guys, here are some room-specific suggestions so you can just get started. In your living room, you can use soft, neutral walls with a colorful accent piece, or if you have plenty of natural light, go for a darker hue for that chic, cocooned feel. In the bedroom, you can choose cool, pale blues for calm and restful sleep, or a deep, warm gray for a snug retreat. And kitchens can be off-white or pale green to maximize light. Just avoid overly dark shades unless paired with lots of lighting. And for your bathroom, crisp whites or light neutrals to reflect light, soft pastel tiles or a textured or striped wallpaper can also visually expand the space. And finally, for your home office, consider soft greens or blues for focus and productivity, or a deeper shade for a cozy, concentrated feel. And now to sum it all up, here are some quick do's and don'ts. Do test paint samples on your walls in different lighting before committing, and mix textures, so rugs, curtains, cushions, to add depth if you're using light colors. Don't use too many competing shades in a small room, it breaks the flow. And don't forget to consider undertones, so cool whites versus warm whites can completely change the mood. Tip number 6 is furniture with double duty, and this will help you make the absolute most out of your space because in a small space, you have a selected amount of furniture that you can put in there. So every piece that does go in has to work twice as hard to pull its weight. So the idea here is not that you go out and find a carpenter or someone to do all of this custom for you. Of course, if you can, go ahead, go wild. You will have a great result. But there are so many ready-made pieces. If you go online, if you just take a time out to go to the stores and have a look, you will find that there are lots of furnitures that already do double duty. So consider them carefully before choosing what to buy for your space. Another cool tip is to consider mobile partitions like lightweight curtains or panels that can double as room dividers when needed. That way you can create spaces within your small space, especially if you have a small apartment or a studio apartment. This can be really useful. When you're designing a small space, you need to be creative and you need to think beyond traditional. So think outside the box and ask yourself, does this piece store, hide, or transform? And if it does one of those three things, then it is a winner and you can feel safe about just going ahead and making the investment. And now, because I like to make it easy peasy, here are a few room-specific double duty ideas that you can use in your home. So for the living room, consider storage ottomans that double as extra seating, coffee tables with drawers or lift tops, or sofas that can double as a bed. In the bedroom, opt for beds with built-in drawers or storage headboards, benches with hidden shoe or linen storage, or a nightstand that also doubles as a desk. In your home office, use desks with built-in filing drawers or fold-down wall desks that free up the floor space. And in your entryway, choose console tables with hidden storage, benches with storage for things like shoes, umbrellas, or bags, and that way, every space in your room will have at least one piece of furniture that is doing an extra shift. Finally, here are the quick do's and don'ts for furniture. You want to choose furniture that stores, transforms, or serves more than one function. Use lightweight, movable partitions to flexibly divide or open spaces. Do not fill the room with single-purpose bulky furniture that eats up your floor space, and don't forget to check the scale. Multifunctional pieces should still fit comfortably within the room. Now, personally, number 7 is my favorite tip, and that is because it is so overlooked and it really shouldn't be. You need to consider your vertical space. So that means stop just looking right ahead and start looking at your walls, start looking upwards, and start to think about all that space you have and how you can put it to good use. Okay, so the trick here is that lifting the eye will naturally make the space feel more expansive. So the way we can lift your eye is by using vertical storage or wall-mounted solutions, and you don't have to go custom, you don't have to hire someone for this. There are so many options out there, and I've selected a few that we can go through together to see what works for you. Floating shelves are perfect for kitchens, living rooms, or bathrooms, and in the kitchen you can use them for spices, mugs, or plates to free up your counters. In the living room, you can create a gallery of photos, books, or small collectibles. Now, wall-mounted desks and tables are ideal for home offices or dining areas because you can fold them up when they're not in use and you'll get all your floor space back, or you can fold them down when you need them. Murphy beds are also a great tip. They are old but gold, and they will give you so much desired floor space. And another option is an elevated bed that allows you to store things underneath, from suitcases to shoes to a whole closet. Finally, when using tall bookshelves, you want to go floor to ceiling to maximize storage and draw the eye upward. They will also create a stylish visual anchor in any room. And over-the-door storage can be super practical because you use hooks for racks of shoes, bags, hats, scarves, or kitchen items. They are great for renters since you don't need to drill and they stay tucked away behind a door so you don't have to look at them all the time. So the trick here is simple. You want to prioritize height over width. You want to clear out your floor space, and you do that by using practical wall-mounted solutions. I promise you, your small room will grow if you think vertically as well. Now, here are your quick do's and don'ts. Do use floating shelves, tall bookshelves, and wall-mounted furniture to free up the floor. Also, look for elevated beds or over-the-door storage to add hidden storage without crowding the room. Do not overload walls with too many shelves or hooks. It will feel chaotic. And don't forget to balance vertical storage with breathing room on the floor so the space doesn't feel top heavy. Now let's talk about wallpaper and patterns because we are fun, we are funky, and we are not at all boring, but also because they will make your space look bigger. So here's the thing. If you go with bigger, larger scale, bold prints, you will create a sense of depth and more space. And if you go with smaller, tiny prints, you get the same thing that you get with the darker colors. You start to blur the lines a little, so you get that cozy, intimate space. So here's how you're going to use your patterns smartly. Light colored wallpapers like whites, soft grays, or pale blues will reflect light and make a room feel airy and open. Vertical stripes will draw the eye upward, making your ceilings feel higher, and horizontal stripes will create the illusion of width, which is perfect for narrow rooms. However, word to the wise, I have rarely seen this done in a way that I find aesthetically pleasing, so think about it twice before you go horizontal on your walls. Next, you've got large-scale patterns and murals, so that means jungle prints, scenic murals, or oversized geometric designs that make the space feel immersive without overwhelming it, and 3D or trompe-l'oeil designs, they will add dimension and make walls feel farther away, creating a sense of spaciousness. Okay guys, time out because I want to have a little art history break. And that is my intro song that I just made up because I love to know where things come from, how they come to be, and we're going to talk about the trompe-l'oeil. I believe that's how you say it in French. I used to speak French, in all fairness. I have not spoken it frequently for a long time, so I'm kind of suck at it now. But if you're French and you heard that, let me know if I just butchered it or if I'm still on the right track. Anyways, what it means is to trick the eye because basically we've been doing this for centuries. We use flat surfaces to create perspective and depth and to trick the eye in believing something is there when it's actually not. This technique has been used for centuries in interiors, especially in European palaces and villas to make rooms feel bigger, more luxurious, and more dramatic, and artists would paint columns, ceilings, or even entire landscapes to fool the eye into thinking that there's more depth than there actually is. Now here's the fun part. I'm not saying you need to go out and hire a muralist to paint this stuff on your wall. What you actually can do is extract the principles of it. So what works about it, because that you can apply anywhere. So anything that will create perspective, that will create shadow, and will create depth will immediately create a sense of expansiveness. And that is what we're learning from history and bringing into our contemporary spaces. Okay, now we can get back to wallpaper and pattern, and here is how you're going to maximize that effect in your space. One thing you want to do if you're going with big wallpaper, you're going to keep your furniture and other pieces a bit more neutral and clean. That way your wallpaper or your pattern can be the protagonist of the space. Another thing you can do, especially if you have a darker, smaller room, is to find wallpapers that will reflect light. That way they act similar to the color options we talked about or the mirror, and they will just bring in that light and sparkle it back into your room. And for my last option, you maybe should opt for larger pieces that look more expansive, like those forest landscapes or murals, things that feel big, because they will also trick your brain into feeling like the space is more expansive than if you opted for a smaller repeat pattern that'll give you the cocoon feel. I just wanted to say that I personally love working with small spaces. I find that they make you more creative, they make you a better designer. You have to think about real practical solutions that fit in that space and that will improve all the things we talked about: lighting, flow, comfort. And if you do that, you will understand that you don't need to fret about what's wrong in a space, or if it's too small or if it's too dark, because anything can be improved with good design. So hopefully this helped you. And also, just another note about small spaces, you don't have to go wild and buy a million pieces of furniture to fill up a huge house. So really, it's kind of exciting because you can actually splurge on smaller things. Like you can have a great countertop if you're doing a remodel, like a beautiful stone countertop, because you don't have that much countertop to go with. Or you can buy an amazing sofa because will be one of the main pieces of your home. And in a small living room, it will be the protagonist and everything else will act as an accessory. So you can use your money really wisely and budget properly for small spaces. And that's another part that I love about working with them. So Really do think about all the things that you can learn and have fun with your small space. Don't linger on what's bad. And remember, if you need more help designing your home, I have not one, but two amazing resources for you this week. The first resource is my home checklist. Some of you are already familiar with it. I am so happy you guys are downloading it and using it and that it is being helpful to you, because that is exactly the point. So over 30 pages of helpful tips, guides, schematics, pictures, just a whole checklist room by room, so that it can take all the overwhelm away from designing your home, make it fun and practical again. And now we have a second option coming, which is our inspiration color packet. And I've been working on this for a while, but the idea is to create a bunch of color palettes so that you can choose, compare, feel it out, and just make color selection easier for your home. Besides the palettes, we also have a few tips on how to select color, how to combine color. So I think it's going to be a really great resource for anybody who struggles with color, or for anyone who's a color pro and just needs something practical to get their hands on and get started in a new project. So both of them are available in the link below. Please tell me if you are enjoying them, if they are being helpful, if you need other things to be in there that aren't, because we can always do that for our second edition next year. And thank you once again for being here. I am so pleased to spend this time with you guys every week. And if this video was helpful, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Let me know in the comments what your biggest struggles are with small spaces, because maybe that can come into handy and become a whole other video where I help you and your specific problems. So thanks again, guys. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.